Welcome to the What They Hardly Warned Us About podcast, short story edition, where we help get you through the day with a little drama, mystery, intrigue, innocent romance, and some based on a true story features. Here's your host, Tisha Jones.
Welcome to the What They Hardly Warned Us About short story edition. As said, my name is Tisha, and I am so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining us. As a part of our podcast, I decided to offer short stories. So this story is called Hidden Grace, and it plays as a scene just as a token of the mental anguish and confusion that domestic violence sufferers go through. So let's dive right in. Chapter 1 of Hidden Grace. Rick wasn't always bad. In the beginning, he was one of the sweetest men ever. Even my mother fell head over heels in love with him, and she had a track record of hating any guy I brought home. It wasn't until a little while after I got married to him that things started to turn sour. Before I knew it, the man that I had fallen in love with had changed into a monster. For a long time, I actually felt that it wasn't his fault, that it was actually me who was the problem. I still remember the first time he blew up at me, and that memory will be forever stained in my mind. He was coming home from work, and I had dinner ready for us. I had made him a wonderful roast chicken with rich vegetables. When I started bringing everything to the table, the bowl of vegetables slipped from my hands and fell onto the floor. I was not expecting him to yell at me like he did. "Grace, why can't you do anything right? You are just completely worthless. I work all day. I come home wanting a nice dinner, but instead my wife is a Butterfingers that can't do the simplest thing." From there, it just kept happening more often. He would tell me I didn't clean the house well enough, even though it was spotless. He would yell at me and tell me that my cooking was disgusting. He would yell at me that I didn't iron his work shirts well enough. I wanted to make the marriage work and to be a good wife, but I didn't want his anger to keep getting the best of him. I tried to talk to him about it one day, and that didn't end up going much better either. It went something like this. "Rick, I think sometimes you're letting your anger get the best of you," I told him. "Anger? I have never gotten angry with you. You must be exaggerating or overreacting like you usually do." It was like that every single time. He would deny that it ever happened and say that I was making it all up or that it was in my mind. Eventually, I would just give up, hoping that if I apologized, he would calm down. I told myself that it wasn't too bad because he rarely did yell. Most of the time, he would write things off as jokes, and if I tell him that I was hurt, he'd just tell me that I was being too sensitive. He'd say something like, "Wow, Grace, I see that you decided to add the container of salt tonight." Or if I wanted to bake a cake for dinner. "A cake? Better be careful. Husbands don't want their wives getting too big." He would laugh and smile while I just stood there defeated. One time I did try to ask him not to be so mean with his jokes. "Mean?" he said. "I'm not being mean. Trust me. If you wanted me to be mean, I'll show you mean, dearie, and you can bet on that." I was at a loss for words of what to do, that I went to one of my friends that knew Rick and I for many years, even before we were dating, and I explained what was going on. She was one of my closest friends, and I thought that she would be understanding and give me a solution, but what I got instead was more disappointment. Boy, did I get a lot of disappointment. I got more than I bargained for. "Rick? Me? Honey, why would you make something up like that? We all went out to dinner a couple of weeks ago, and Rick was the perfect gentleman. You remember? I mean, my goodness, you were there. He pulled out your chair for you. He even paid for everyone's meal. Grace, really, I don't know what's wrong with you. Why you'd want to smear your husband's reputation. If we all had husbands like Rick, there wouldn't be any problems in the world. Some of us that are single women are hoping and wishing that we had a husband like yours. Maybe I think you need to be a little more grateful. And also, I think you need to take a long look at yourself, because whatever the problem is, that's where they must be. I know it hurts, but I have to tell you, sweetie, we are friends. I couldn't believe that she actually said that to me. Not only did she not believe what I said, but she took his side. She pretended as if she had not known me for many years, and I had no reputation of making things up. It only got worse from there. She had told all of our friends what I said to her in confidence. Besides, it all ended up getting back to Rick, and Rick was so upset, and he kept asking me, why would I say hurtful things and try to hurt him like this, when all he wanted to be was wonderful to me and have a wonderful life. Yes, my so-called friend counselor took everything that I said back to my ever so wonderful husband. It even ended up all over social media, with people saying that I was crazy, I was a liar, and I was trying to ruin the reputation of my husband. All of the comments were talking about poor Rick and how they felt bad for him. If we had guests, they would whisper to him and ask if he was okay and if I was treating him right. I eventually decided to go anonymously online to a chat room of wives to ask other people. Maybe if they agreed with my husband and my friends that there was something wrong with me, I would see it and I'd fix it. Instead, I had them telling me the exact opposite. I was not, however, prepared to hear all the things that I had heard. I was not prepared for what they really had to say. They shared their stories, some spanning decades of them leaving their abusive husbands. They told me that what Rick was doing was being abusive and he was toxic to my well-being. I explained that he wasn't being abusive. He didn't hit me or anything. He just got mad sometimes and made those mean jokes and comments. They told me that still counts as abuse, and some women that end up staying with men who do those same things end up having issues with physical violence down the road. I told them that I had no support with my friends and I didn't know what to do. If I left him, I'd be a failure as a wife. They explained to me and reassured me that he was the one that was a failure of a husband. They showed me all of these great resources I could begin to use to help me not only to leave him, but to begin healing the wounds that he had left on my soul. Tune in next week for Chapter 2 of Hidden Grace. Thanks again for joining us.
You've been listening to the What They Hardly Warned Us About podcast with Tisha Jones. This episode is sponsored by Talkspace. Before you go, we'd like to introduce you to couples counseling with Talkspace Online Therapy. Rediscover the strengths of your relationship and make it stronger than ever. You may be asking, is online couples counseling right for my partner and me? Talkspace Online Couples Therapy offers more flexible and accessible options for when to meet and the preferred mode of treatment. It's important that both you and your partner feel comfortable with the method of treatment that you choose in order to get the most out of the experience. Let's talk about what you'll get from Talkspace Couples Therapy. You'll be able to identify specific issues to work on with the support of an unbiased professional. Develop a solutions-oriented approach to rediscover your relationship strengths. Gain insight into relationship patterns and dysfunctional dynamics that hinder relationships. Practice conflict resolution strategies for improved empathy and problem-solving skills. Learn communication tools to increase vulnerability and restore trust. You'll get ongoing dedicated support through live video sessions and unlimited messaging. However, let's say that you realize that you need to go to it alone and focus only on yourself. Well, we're glad you're here. With Talkspace, a licensed provider will be right there with you, helping you navigate life's ups and downs. Getting here is hard, and you've already accomplished this step. Their network of providers covers a range of specialties to meet your specific needs. Listen, we know taking the first step is scary, but we want you to know that Talkspace is there for you. If you sign up today, you'll receive $100 off your first session with the link in the description box. Don't go at it alone. You are just as valuable. You matter. Get help for you. Choose you. Follow the link on our webpage at fewwarnings.buzzsprout.com to get $100 off. Again, follow the link on our webpage at fewwarnings.buzzsprout.com. If you've enjoyed today's show, be sure to tell a friend and leave your comments. Also, make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing to our podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, Stitcher, and Spotify. Additionally, you can follow us on YouTube at What They Hardly Warned Us About, and on Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon at Few Warnings. And for donations, gifts, and love offerings, feel free to use our Cash App at $FewWarnings. Finally, if you find that you need help in any facet of your life, please visit our webpage for important free resources and for valuable links attached to each episode to help you get the help you need. Remember, the bravest thing you can do is ask for help. See you next time. Bye-bye.